Hi, welcome to Shelf Starters. Today we're on the final episode of the Canterbury Tales. Yay! So what did you think?
Well, I actually think I liked these ones from this section a little bit more than the previous ones.
Yeah, I think there was less of the religious stuff.
Yes,
in this section.
you want to end on a high note, don't you? So
yeah.
I did think these were quite good, although some of them were not finished. So
yeah, having said that, that was annoying. Well, annoying. One of them was not finished, and the other one was just in summary again, because again, the translator Neville Coggill, definitely probably saying that wrong. Just didn't translate it. Too long, too boring again.
Couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. So we've got a summary again.
Oh
well.
So we start.
So
the Squire's Tale.
Yes.
Okay. So this one.
And this one. This is the one I was really enjoying. That was then it stopped.
Then it stopped. That's right.
I was getting really into it, and then it cut off. So it's about all these gifts that get given to this royal family, a king and a princess, and they're like magic gifts that do really cool things. There was like a brass horse that can take you anywhere in like an instant. Yes. And then it just like stands really still and you can't steal it or anything. So just will stay there and wait for you until you're ready, and then it'll take you back home. That was cool. Then there's like a magic mirror that tells you like the future.
This is what it's really interesting, because you could see all the influences on literature since. You could see hints of that here, couldn't you? So yes, we have the mirror, and then you think, oh yes, Snow White, and mirror on the wall. And
yeah, but when was actually, I don't know, what would have been after, wouldn't it? Probably need to work out when the like Grimm brothers and all them were, and Charles Perrault. Then maybe Chaucer was the origins for all of the fairy tales.
Because we've got that, and we've got the story. So we had the steed that can take you anywhere, the brass horse, the mirror, and
the ring,
and the story of the speaking the language of every living thing. That's really
kind of like Snow White, like talking to all the birds.
Yeah, the whole thing reminded me of Snow White, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and it looks after the bird. What is it? Is it a raven or something?
A falcon, isn't it?
A falcon that is so upset because its partner is off with other female birds, and that it is scratching itself, like self-harming. And she takes him in and takes her in and looks after her. Yeah. And I was getting really into it, and then then it just stops, which is a bit of a shame.
That was a bit
maybe because it looked like it was going to be so epic. Like it looked like it could have gone on for like a full book in itself. This story.
It did. And it even had parts, like, part 1, part 2, and it had, talking about Troy, and I thought it was definitely going to go somewhere big, but we didn't.
So do you think, because it stops, the part 3 is 2 lines and then it cuts off, and then the Franklin interrupts, but do you think that this one potentially was something that Chaucer was going to write a whole book on himself?
I wonder if that is exactly what was going to happen, because the whole idea of it being in parts and felt like it was going to be an epic saga.
And even it like sort of did that thing where it foreshadows what's coming, like it tells you what we're going to be talking about, and it's a huge amount, and then it just doesn't get there.
No, kind of strange. And
but I really liked it, and it had reference to Gawain as well.
No. Lots of
and they're like more of the magic fairy lands again, which I love. So I was getting really into it.
A lot of fairy lands were going on, but luckily for us, it only was interrupted by our special Franklin guy.
Special Franklin the turtle. And I looked up what a Franklin was. Yes, it is a landowner, but not a noble one, which makes sense given the story, because he's talking about like regular people.
Yeah.
And how they can.
He does that thing, or that male thing of comparing the squire to his own son, and talking about how hopeless his own son is. It's kind of, what is that?
That male thing.
Really mean. Like, you're such a great guy. Gosh, I wish my son could be half as good. Like all.
That's.
So sad. My useless son only.
Well. better than my shit wife who's sleeping with other people, which all the other ones have been about. So bit of a difference. And this one, he says, I'm not a cultivated man, and so from the beginning I beseech you to excuse me my untutored speech. So we get someone who's actually a bit lower class,
Yes.
but still not like drunken like the cook or anything like that, but yeah, but he's very much about like regular people.
Yes.
And this one was the one that was that was about the regular guy who was in love with the woman, but she's really, really loyal to her husband.
Yes. So loyal. I mean, this was interesting. So it's all about mutual consent and mutual trust and mutual faith. Like we haven't seen before this. It's never been mutual.
No, I really liked it.
Yeah. I know. This is cool. Like actually we're all on the same level. So yeah, I thought that was good. So yes.
And the guy who the outsider who loves this woman comes in and says, let's make a deal. If I can make all the rocks disappear at this cliff,
isn't it? Yeah.
Then you come with me, basically. And she's like, yeah, sure. Like, that's not, what are you going to do? How are you going to do that? Okay, that's fine. And then he goes off and he gets a magician, and they do all these like cool illusions and things, which I was quite interested in.
Yeah, well, section, magic's throughout this whole section, isn't it? It made me think, that's what I was going to say before, Marlowe and Dr. Faustus and all that.
Yeah, with their magic tricks.
Yes, and the whole steed, and you could go wherever you want to go. That really reminded me of Dr. Faustus.
Yeah.
Good idea. So I
can't wait to get to Dr. Faustus, by the way, next year.
Really good.
I think that, I'm not sure when, maybe it's in early next year.
Well, it will be because it's around, it's the Shakespearean era. So it's around.
Yeah, but it's early, isn't it? So yeah, that's good. Let's get to that one soon. So then that he does make it, he makes the seas rise.
Yeah.
And so the rocks are disappeared. But then the great ending where she could be ruined and the man could be ruined too, and they're all like, oh no, what are we going to do? Like, you have to fulfill your promise, but you also you basically got two conflicting promises going on. And then the nice random lover person, I wish I remembered their names. That would help. He lets them free. And then the magician also lets him free from his like monetary debt. So everyone's just like, you know what, you're all good people.
Yeah.
Let's let it all go.
So we've got, aren't the names are Dorigen and Aurelius?
Yep. There we go.
I think that's right.
Wait, what's the woman's name? No, Dorigen's the wife.
Oh, Dorigen his wife. Dorigen's the wife, isn't it?
Okay, so Aurelius is the lover.
Yes.
Dorigen's the wife, and Avaragus
is
Avarius.
Like Avarice.
Is the husband.
But it's not like
that.
But yes. So
yeah,
it was a nice story, wasn't it?
And then the question at the end, which seemed the finest gentleman to you? So basically a story of like four really good people. If we include the magician, they're all actually just really good people, and they could have all screwed each other over, but in the end they all say, you know what?
So we're not.
Let's be nice.
We're just not used to this.
Yeah. It was quite a nice ending. I was really not expecting that to be the ending at all. I was totally expecting, cut her head off, something like that, like the previous stories, but no. Quite refreshing. So I really liked that one. Second Nun's Tale really didn't like, and that's not surprising.
Well,
I don't think.
Of course, and isn't this the whole Virgin Mary? I actually read a bit about this tonight because I couldn't quite understand it, but apparently this was a bit of a cult back in the day. The Virgin Mary was a bit of a cult. So it's basically that idea that, this is all about chastity and holding the Virgin Mary up as the highest thing possible.
Right.
So it makes sense for the nun or the second nun to actually be focusing on this cult of the Virgin Mary, and where her, she's looking at where her saint, name comes from. So she does the story of Cecilia.
Yeah, Cecilia meaning lily of the heaven.
Yeah, and it's all about chastity.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, the poor thing. We're talking. So we got forced marriage, devotion to chastity, punishment for chastity, and
Yeah.
then a miracle thing at the end. But
The burning was like the only part that I got out of this that was quite cool, was kind of like the Game of Thrones-esque
where she
burn her, but then she's fine in the fire. She's like, she doesn't die. But I don't think it actually was like she was thrown into fire. My understanding was it was kind of like one of those Finnish spas where, you know, like she's, because it says
steamer,
she's put into a bath, I think, right? Yeah, they shut her in a bath and then put a fire underneath it. So I kind of understood it as like sweating out kind of thing.
Some people pay hundreds of dollars for that kind of thing.
I know. So, but it says she sat there cool, neither feeling pain nor sweating, not a drop from head to feet. So I don't think it's like that she's actually been burnt to a crisp. I don't know. But yeah, either way, yeah, she's magically survived that.
Yes, but she don't forget.
But
she stops praying.
Yeah, she's praying. Then, yeah, but then of course they cut her throat, and then of course she eventually dies.
And then is this story? This is the one where we're touching on that whole alchemy thing, right?
No, that's the next one. Which I really liked. But this one, she dies on the third day, which is interesting because it's the Jesus link. So she's there lying half dead, throat cut open, having been burnt, or all of this torture, but she doesn't die until the third day. And then she gets buried in the special church with the saints. So yeah, just all in all, a horrible story about suffering because of your religion.
And chastity and idleness is a terrible thing. And
not exactly fun to read. So didn't love that. And also, I think it might be a translation of something else, because it says followed the legend in my own translation in the intro bit. So I think the Nun's Tale is like it's a translation of something else that we don't know about. But the next one, yes, you're right, is the one with the alchemy that I thought was cool because I got excited about the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, well, I kind of didn't know anything about the Philosopher's Stone, really.
It's because you haven't read Harry Potter.
It was
the Philosopher's Stone.
But alchemy, I know about.
Yes, alchemy. Yeah, extending life and turning things to gold.
Yeah,
it's like the two big.
The original charlatans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this guy is he's like a worker for this canon who's into alchemy, and he's trying to con people into spending money to have things converted into special metals.
Yes.
And it seems very much like, I mean, he keeps having to remind us this story is not about my master, although they're very similar. But like he's basically saying over and over again how dodgy people are who get involved in alchemy. And that it's so easy to spread those lies through other people and like basically develop a cult in alchemy.
So you can turn base metal into gold, and you can turn heathen or pagans into Christians. I think.
Yep. But there were little bits that made me laugh, like the explosions, the way that he phrases it. It happens like as not. There's an explosion and goodbye the pot.
Some of them, the rhymes really do lend themselves to the humour, don't they? I mean,
all the glitters is not gold.
Yeah,
and that's. Do you think is that the first? When do we first hear that phrase? All the glitters is not gold.
Shakespeare.
But this is before Shakespeare.
That's right. But we know Shakespeare borrowed a lot.
Yeah. Also, this is the translation, so you have to wonder if maybe Neville just took from Shakespeare.
Maybe so, but
we should look in the original.
It's from Merchant of Venice, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I think so.
It's Shake-Tember, by the way, next month, so we should get into some Shakespeare.
Well, I'm sure it's from Merchant of Venice because it's when she gets the caskets. It's the caskets.
Yes, the 3 caskets. Yeah.
All that glisters is not gold. Not.
That's the English teacher in you.
Essay somewhere way back, and they corrected it right. No, that's get your spelling right. It's glitters. And I was like, oh, actually, a little bit annoying. I got marked down for it. I'm like,
that's annoying. That poor child. Oh yeah, and this is all about the science as well, like that we're trying to achieve some sort of scientific thing, but no one's actually getting anywhere closer. It says there's no neuroscience than before, but also that scientific jargon confuses people enough that they just go with it. So their scientific jargon is so woolly, no one can hope to understand it fully.
Yes. So woolly and fully is good. I know.
We'll just make up some random things and then, yeah. But I liked that one. I thought it was funny, although, like, yeah, kind of probably longer than it needed to be, that one.
Yeah.
Given that the story is the same, same as the prologue, really.
Yep. I know. I think
Just-
I think so far my fave might be Franklin in this section.
Yeah,
I like.
yeah,
that.
me too. Yeah, me too. But followed by the unfinished one.
Yeah.
Anyway, and there was a lot of repeated references to the color of this guy's face.
Yeah.
And how it was like ruined from the smoke, like blowing the fire, the bellows. Is that what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, we got the thing that.
Yeah. So he's got like some sort of issue with his face because of it.
Oh yeah, he's got a hot thing blowing him. Anyway, now did you look up Mansipur?
I did, and then I didn't write it down. So now I've already forgotten.
Like the food person, the catering person.
Oh yeah, for colleges and churches, right?
Yeah.
It's the person who gets supplies and stuff. But then you were saying last week that you thought it made sense, but I don't think I actually understood how it made sense to this story.
No, I didn't mean to the story. I meant to that word because I've read that word before and now it makes sense to me.
Oh, in context of other things you've read. Yeah, right. Okay. Because I was going, where is this about? Anyway, so this one was about not gossiping.
Yes, pulling the feathers out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So getting, having no voice if you're being a dobber, like, being punished for dobbing, basically.
Yeah. Basically, if you find out that someone's having an affair, best to just keep quiet.
Yeah. Don't be that person, it tells.
But it's all about it's all told through the bird, right?
Yes, where they pluck up
the bird who tells the truth.
Yes, a crow, isn't it? It's a crow.
Mm.
Aren't they always forebearers of bad tidings? Crows.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna need to learn more about the birds, but that will be when we get to the animals part. I think that Chaucer wrote the Parliament of Fowls as well, another poem that is all about birds. So I'm sure we'll find out more about birds at that point.
Birds. I love it. And it's magpie season in Sydney, which is
the magpies here are really nice.
Oh, ours aren't.
They're pretty. They've got little blue bits in their feathers.
So anything to do with crows, it creeps.
We don't love it. Yeah, we don't love it. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So final
story is about about not speaking, and if you do speak out, you are punished.
It was only short, wasn't really that interesting, and don't love the concept of not speaking out about something as bad as that. But anyway,
I know.
It feels like that's a little bit dated. Just keeping quiet, that whole concept is not really a thing. So we would.
And then we go with the last one, isn't it?
Yes, and this one definitely strategically placed as the last one because the parson is kind of one of the only figures in Chaucer relating to the church that isn't really mocked at all. He's coming in as a very sensible person.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about all the different 7 deadly sins and how to confess, which reminded me a lot of the Guide for Anchoresses.
Yes.
The instructions on how to do confession and stuff. But we only get a short summary because Neville decided not to
go for the whole thing,
not to translate it. So, but basically just talk about what each of the sins are.
Yes.
And
which was quite boring to read. I'm sorry.
Quite what?
Boring to read, I thought.
Well, of course. Yeah. It's not even I've read other bits. We're going to get to Gower, who talks about 7 deadly sins as well, but uses examples of stories and things to
so it's properly
expand on that concept, which makes it much more interesting than just an explanation. This really reads like a little mini article or something.
It's just like a shopping list, I thought.
Yeah, of different sins. So yeah, and then confession must be freely willed and made in full faith. We just read more about that already in the Anchoresses, so I felt like that was nothing new, really.
Yep.
Which is probably why Neville decided not to translate it, because it's not worth his time.
And then the random retraction.
Yes, in which he's basically just saying, I'm aware I'm a sinner and pardon me from all my sins.
And we're all meant to just go, that's okay then.
Yeah. I wonder though if that's just something that they had to do at the, like, to end up their books at the time, is just be like,
But it was pretty, fairly brutal
yeah.
about various members of the church. So yes, maybe that is what
Yeah.
you could say.
But he's not really apologizing for what he's written either. He's just saying, yeah,
Don't blame me. He's just saying, yeah, don't blame me.
yeah. And it's got mention of his other books that he's written too. So we've got Troilus, The Duchess, Parliament of Fowls, his translation of Boethius, which I haven't read, but I have read Boethius. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, okay. Then that's it.
Finish them, Rosie.
Finish the Canterbury Tales.
Next week we have some of the poems.
Next week we have a random selection of his verse from the Norton. So coming back to actually the Norton again. And it's got, his lyrics and occasional verse. So I think we've got a bit from Troilus and Cressida, and then some other random ones. And I think we don't have the Parliament of Fowls, but I think we get that later in our animals section.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah, the talking animals actually does come back to Chaucer. So we'll let that one go until then.
Yeah, as you know, I'm not fond of the talking animal, but anyway.
Well, that'll just be a bad week for you.
What?
I guess that'll just be a bad week for you.
No,
I think there's 3 different things in that section.
I didn't even like Animal Farm, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Which annoys me because I'd rather you just treat me like an adult and tell a story with human beings in it, and not try to thinly veil it with like it being about animals, so I won't notice that there's a kind of purpose to it all.
Yes. Well.
Annoying. Anyway.
But at least in this, it's like kind of that's what they did at the time. It's not like talking down to you in modern times. I feel like that is different. Yeah. Right? Like now that's a thing's more for kids, but at this time this was normal.
It's been a device for children, hasn't it, forever? Oh, it's fables, yeah. But
yeah, we've got Aesop's fables coming up as well in that section. But I don't think they're in the Norton, but I'm gonna read them.
I read fables as a little child, and I didn't like them then.
I did, I think.
Yes, you were always good on a fable, whereas I was always like, I can see what you're doing, and just not to do the thing that you don't want me to do. Stop pretending that it's okay to, dress it up as a story. It's annoying.
Oh well. Do you have a favourite?
It'd be good to hear what people think and whether, does Wife of Bath remain? Does she hold a spot?
See, okay, here's my problem. I can't remember which story goes with which person. So I don't know which one was my favourite because...
But Rosie, maybe that's the point. Like you can remember the Wife of Bath because she's one of the very few women.
Yeah, like hers is quite clearly a standout one that is
raunchy and
very different from the rest.
Yeah, so you can easily remember her, but yes, you're right. It's really hard to remember all the other people.
Yeah.
It really is.
I think, definitely from this last section, the Franklin was my favourite, followed by the Squire.
Yeah, I agree. We actually agree.
But now I can't remember back from our first one. But yeah, I have really enjoyed it. I think it's been really fun.
I have too. I mean, and it is good that we have had all sorts. That we had the deadly serious and hugely religious, and then we've had the fighty ones where they're
some of the more like chivalry and some of that fairy, otherworld stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, remember the Jewish one?
Oh yeah, that was rough.
The Semitic one, that was pretty foul. Who was that?
I think that was the nun, the nun's priest.
Oh no! It was the prioress, wasn't it?
It was a religious one.
Yeah, she was the one where the cursed Jew grabbed the little boy, the Christian boy, and threw him in a pit. Remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember?
Don't forget that.
He kept on singing that one. I quite liked that story, even though it was horrible, but it was memorable.
It's definitely memorable, yeah.
and why.
Yeah, if you have a favorite, please let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
We'd like to hear.
And why?
And we'll work out what ours are.
Is it an association with when they read it or heard it, or is it to do with the message? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, that's interesting, because your thing with Wife of Bath has always just been just like that's what you studied and that has different memories for you.
I was in love with my English teacher because she was so,
Yeah.
and that's when English came to life. So yeah, I'm never going to be able to associate that with anything other than that. So I'm always that I love it. Yeah. So it's not really about what she was talking about at all that got me.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
But it was a good one. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly have no idea what my favorite would be. So I'll have a think.
Yeah.
But definitely, if you guys know your favorites, let us know and we can chat about it next week when we look at the verse.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds
All
good.
right. Cool. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.